Hi, I have studied with well over 35 different Meisner teachers. And many of them I used to watch when they were just baby Meisner students in the classes. They didn't even do teaching yet. They were just students in the classroom. So you could join me at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays and ask me anything about acting. And then you can also, we can work together to be able to help get your emotions. So if you want to help to be able to do emotional preparations, it's absolutely no problem. Listen, I have seen a lot of acting, and you could join me at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I will even help you do your emotional preparation. Just, I'll send you a link, you can come backstage, we can work face to face, and you can join the live stream. Hi, would you help me to be able to help you? Would you please, in the comments section, just place one question per comment that you have about acting? It's really important to me that you find your own acting technique. And if you ask some really good questions, you never know what I might be able to come up with answers. Okay, welcome. Thanks for showing up. If you're looking at this, the replay, thanks very much for being here. I am absolutely determined to, one, get over this cold that I have, which is natural, things happen. And two is I want to be very clear. I want to help you get your emotions activated and capable of being activated, and then helping to train you to put those into imaginary circumstances. Now, it doesn't matter to me which country you're from, what type of lifestyle you live, whether it's very high class or if it's meager. The reality is what I actually teach for how to get and access emotions is key. It is the absolute ingredients on how to make incredible work. Now, I have seen work from the top people in the industry. I mean, the very top, being completely without makeup. Some of them you can't even recognize very easily. I mean, it just depends. And the thing is, I've seen people that have been very affluent in this industry, training techniques in acting, training to try to get their acting instrument, their actual ability to be able to find those emotions inside themselves, work through scenes, do all these kinds of things, which are fantastic, which is the fantastic thing. So I'm determined to continue to be able to put information out there that has every single possible way to be an absolute rabble rouser in the acting community. I don't care what anybody says about me one way or another. I know these techniques work. These techniques are fantastic. And there's all kinds of ways to be able to access your emotions and be able to put your emotions actually in the imaginary circumstances or the imaginary world of which you act. So look, I have been in a very big recovery phase because I was assaulted from an industry student that didn't know anything about acting, but had been out in the industry and pop, whatever they call it, some kind of singing dance groups or whatever they call them. It doesn't matter who they are. I'm not going to say anyway, regardless. But the thing is, recovering from that led me to be able, I have massive amounts of materials written. And these are just my class notes, some of my class notes. And I have amazing amounts of information that I want to be able to share. And I'm going to be able to do that via video, via video chat, whatever you call these technical things. And the thing is it's very key. You have an opportunity right now to actually access me and actually be able to come into the streams and ask me questions. And they could be, you could think that your questions are weird or strange. That's no problem. A lot of times when we're learning to be able to work with emotions, the questions that we have about ourselves can be very intricate. They're not necessarily too personal. They're just, a lot of times the questions that we have that make or help to put emotion into your acting actually are these things that are intricate, and they're like you're working to be able to find the nuts and the bolts of being able to really entice the emotion to be activated. Trust that it's actually alive in you, which then at that point you don't know what to do. Because, oh my God, there's an alive emotion inside of you. Something's activated. And now you're not sure what to do with that energy because you've literally sparked off an engine inside of yourself. And this emotional engine has to then get directed into something. So at that point in the work, you're literally sparking your neurosi. You're sparking your neurosi inside of yourself. Something's working to be able to be sparked inside of yourself. And then all of a sudden, you've got to be able to find a focus, to be able to put your attention. And then the majority of people, when they're able to achieve that, then put their attention to be able to blurt out whatever's inside of them. And that's fine. But I teach that you should want to receive the other person. Try. If you're capable, after you've sparked your emotion, have the first moment be about them, about receiving them. So they give you your acting. And this changes everything in the exercise, because instead of being self-focused, you've already had your time of self-focus. You've been doing the being work of acting. You've been doing the emotion work of acting. So then you jump into the ability to jump into the actual work. And the work is now this living thing where if you work to have the discipline to actually receive the other person, then you've got your stimulus that's actually working inside of you. And then you've got receiving the other person, which is the stimulus. And now you've got this like trifecta of emotion that's not only your emotion. Now you've got your emotion and you've got their emotion, which is perfect. This is perfect technique. This is perfect way to be able to find and mine these incredible responses that you have to people. So let me take a quick break here. I told you I'm being a little bit under the weather, and we will absolutely come right back. I really am into acting, and I know you are too. And the most important thing in acting is emotion. You've got to be willing and capable, and you got to know some of these tricks. These tricks of being able to activate your emotion. You activate your emotion in the being side of the work, and then you catapult yourself and dive into the doing side of the work, the interaction. And this element called emotional preparation is key. Hi, my acting training is incredibly extensive. These are some of my notes. This is not all of them. By far, it's not all. And I really like acting. I really like the hardest component of acting is the emotion. And so that's why I run and operate emotional preparation. And there's information on that website that you can join me on my live feed, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesdays and Fridays. I hope to see you there. If you find the information on my website, you can actually join the live feed. I can send you a link and you can actually come on and talk to me face to face. And you can actually, we'll do emotional preparations together. So we can actually work to be able to access your emotions and help you be able to put emotions into your acting work. Okay, so we are working today in understanding and really trying to isolate how to construct emotions. Now, I like to do a few things today, and we'll see where we get to, and feel free to interrupt me either now or when you view this. And make a comment, ask a question in each one of the comments, one question per comment. And then I can absolutely either do a special video, really sit down and really, I can really isolate on the answer, or I can include the comments in the live feed, like I have a couple comments and things today. So, which I appreciate from people, because look, I know people have busy schedules. I know that I'm still figuring out how to do all of this stuff, and that's normal. This is exactly how it is. So the topic of the day I wanted to put as being constructing emotions. Now look, if you walk up to some of the directors in this industry and you say, hey, listen, I want to construct emotions, they're going to look at you like you have three heads. They're going to say, oh, God, you're one of these method actors. You're not one of these people that we want to work with because, oh, my God, like we're just going to take forever trying to take one take. All we want a person to do is look over this way, and have the take be perfect and expect every single thing to happen automatically. Now, the majority, some of the directors are actually like that. They're literally at the point where they expect you to be that quick that they don't even recognize that you're even using techniques as an actor. Now, if I go out and work and go and do a thing, I'll have people say, oh, well, that was just an accident. What happened in that take? Oh, yeah. And I'll say, yeah, no problem. Yeah, sure. Complete accident. And then I'll come back and tell you how I actually did it, how I actually crafted those moments, and how none of it was an accident at all. It was completely, absolutely intentional. And I completely, absolutely had an actor's technique or an actor's craft to be able to get those motions. And I'll probably never want to work with that director again. Or if I do, I'll at least know what to expect. I know that the person's going to want absolutely it to look as if you're just a cardboard cutout. They want the take where they want the take, and they want everyone to say that that's professionalism. Okay, listen. I could talk to you for hours about what I think about this industry from an educated point of view. And I've seen a lot of corruption in this industry from inside and outside. And when I say a lot of corruption, everything from geopolitics all the way to just normal casting stuff, to groups of producers that ask people to do initiations on different things that I would never have any part of. And that's why I'm not part of some of those groups. And so the reason why that's important is because these are the kinds of pressures that you're actually under, whether you even know it or not, when you're trying to have an acting career in Hollywood. And frankly, you're trying to work on acting technique and work to be able to have acting technique in Hollywood, which is, frankly, it's near impossible to ask. This is a task that you can do. This is extremely doable, but you're looking at an industry that's based on casting people based off favors, off who knows who, off who's related to who, off of who's getting what payout. They literally, I will tell you this, very, very true story. When castings go out and productions actually get funded, there are two sides to a piece of paper that gets submitted to the productions. One side is the public IRS number of the amount that they're going to say that they funded the movie for. The back side is actually a back number, which is way, way, way larger. Now, a big amount of percentages of films get actually made this way. And it can happen every single way, down to the music industry, to who's getting whose music played all of a sudden on the radio, to every single thing having to do with whether or not you've been casted in a film. And a lot of times, the way I've been absolutely told, as a complete and utter confession from many different people, is that it's actually very much delivered by valet when they go out for dinner to close the deal. Now, look, I don't know if you want to know that kind of information, but I know very well these people are interested in making sure that they can spend the least amount of money and get the biggest amount of back pay that they can get And this is all part of actually the ground field of what acting actually is. I'm not afraid to tell anybody that because I know how true it actually is. And I'm saying it in a way that is politically correct enough that it's whatever. I mean, I'm not going to hide what I know about Hollywood or any other industry that's connected to some of those things. And the thing about it is that your talent, you're expected to know by instinct. You're expected to know emotional preparation. If you choose to work with the technique like emotional preparation, it has to be habitual in the way that it you'll be able to do it so quick that they may not even know that you're actually working on it. Now, I suggest that you find artistic community in a way that gets you away from some of the corruption and the favoritisms that are in Hollywood. And a lot, when I say favoritisms, a lot of it's just, is somebody going to give a bigger back end cash deal or give a piece of some island as part of a payout that's going to be part of the reason why somebody gets cast in a multi-million-dollar picture. And that's just part of some of the deals that actually go down. And I've been told that directly. I know that that's directly. I don't want to say anything more than what I am saying. And the thing about it is, it's just exactly how it happens. It's exactly how it happens. And then you go to the audition, you wonder why you don't get cast. Well, of course you didn't get cast. You didn't have the biggest back end payout on the back end side of the sheet for your casting role. It happens all the time, or you didn't have something that you had to offer the producers to be able to do that. That kind of stuff is very, 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 very real. It's how the industry runs. Sadly, it is actually how parts of the industry run. Not all, but it's definitely out there. And you should be aware of it. And the reason why I'm open about it is because every actor should be aware that that's the kind of thing that goes on. At the highest levels to mid-levels, it's exactly how things go on. There's always something, usually in the background, that fuels some of those big, big, big decisions. So this brings us to what I'm talking about. Why would you want to construct your emotions? Well, you want to do as much of your construction of your emotions outside or in your own timing, away from the actual filming of the actual event. So you have your filming of the actual event, and you want to be able to really enrich your life, make your absolute thing really, really, really deep, really work on your emotion, bring up your emotion, bring it up so it's habitual. And then at this point, what many different people, whoever, regardless of whoever, you'll start hearing the compliments coming from both good and bad people in the industry, and they'll say, oh, and this guy's a real professional. They know how to deliver an emotion on cue or close to on cue, or we don't know how, but every single time they're doing the emotion, they get the emotion, they're working on the emotion, and the emotion is actually something that sparks in them. So they can do that consistently without any kind of assistance from anybody else. So then all of a sudden you get known as being a professional actor. Okay, now, of course, the majority of people are going to tell you that you just fluked out on one movie, fluked out on another movie, had something happen on a scene in another one, and you're not really working with craft. It's exactly what happens. And that's okay. And then some people will actually say, well, look, they're working with craft, but they're not. Sometimes people will say that they're working with craft and join these groups that work on technique, but they're not actually working consistently with craft. And that's part of it too. And it's all across the board, of course. So constructing emotions is key. You want to absolutely get the emotion activated in you. Now, how do you know that an emotion is actually activated? You will hopefully feel it. You'll hopefully feel. Often for me, when I know an emotion's been activated, if I ask myself when I know the emotion's been activated, my heart jumps a little. My heart jumps a little bit. My heart rate changes a little bit. It's not necessarily fast or slow, but there's something that's changing in my heart. I can feel it. And then the next thing that happens with me when I activate my own emotion is all of a sudden something comes up through my throat and my nose, and I feel like I don't know if it's like something. It's almost like fluid or something. Like I just feel like some sort of like tiny release of something happens in me. So like you can, if you watch some of my videos and as we go through the examples, you'll see there'll be moments where if you look really closely at me when I'm emotionally preparing, you'll see that there'll be times where I get deeper. All of a sudden my eyes settle down a little bit. I get a little calmer, and all of a sudden the emotion shoots out. Now that's emotional preparation. That's emotional activation. This is constructing emotions. Well, the construction of emotion is the ability to construct. I mean, you're literally building up what is the desired emotional ballpark of the emotional life. So the emotional life of the construction, right? So if you have a script that has to do with jealousy, and you're dealing with jealousy. Now, you may or may not, that may or may not be a good part for you. I know for me to go into jealousy, I have to do quite a few extra steps. I can achieve jealousy, but it's very laborsome for me because I'm not really a jealous person. I mean, definitely not at the surface. And inside, really, I usually work through jealousy that's not really something that I've really lingered towards as an emotion that I carry around in life. So for me to work with something like jealousy, if I was going to construct the emotion of jealousy, I would be constructing working with imagination, with my imagination. Um, with my imagination, I could construct circumstances which would maybe be able to put me closer into some jealousy areas. Um, and I could work on that, but it would be tougher than say working from for me it would be tougher for me to work with jealousy than it would be for me to work from a place of desolation. I mean, I've lived the starving artist component. That's closer to me. I could get into that area easier. I could construct easier that topic than I could if I tried to work with jealousy. Now I know that about myself. So if I'm looking at a part that has jealousy, what I would do is I would also weave in maybe some desperation or some determination factor or meaning of some sort that could work to be able to when the meaning of the like the extra emotion that I put in with that, when the meaning of the one gets hit, then the jealousy would kind of be activated. So it would look, you'd have to look close, but you'd see that there was jealousy activated, but it was maybe because I really desired something else. And that would still really, I would craft that using construction of emotion, to be able to craft that for the actual part in acting. So it doesn't bother me that like for instance, like I'm just starting out with whatever it is called, whatever video channels or whatever you call them. But the thing is, I mean, I'm not jealous of anybody for that. I mean, being successful in another way, it's not really my demeanor. But if I was to like isolate a jealousy of like maybe not having a need, then I could maybe enhance some jealousy, and I'd have to work to be able to tie that in with the desolation, and then I could have come up with a concoction of jealousy, desperation, being a justified component of acting. So if I was, an assistant in a script or something that was, and I was an assistant in an office or something, instead of coming from a place where many people would just go immediately into their envy and they'd be envious and that would be their jealousy. I would go into something where I was having some sort of desolate circumstance. I would then reactivate that desolate circumstance, which was right beside and tied into jealousy. And then that component would then be an element that would actually like work to be able to like, it would come across like I was just really jealous, but there would be something deeper behind it that would be fueling it. And that would be the way that I could deal with jealousy, because I'm just not going to go. I mean, I'm not really envious. I don't care. I mean, if you have a nice car, I have a nice car. That's great. I don't care. I mean, if it's something that, I mean, I'm not materialistic in that way. Other people would be materialistic and know that they're materialistic in the way that if they were crafting or looking at construction of emotion, and with no judgment, I mean, if they're constructing emotions and they're constructing the jealousy, then they would immediately attach it to envy. They want to be the, whatever it is. I mean, I try to be like co-gender because it doesn't matter to me if male or female, but I mean, it could be the prettiest woman on the block, or it could be prettiest drag queen on the block. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter. What makes a difference is that envy. Some people have that active in them, but it's something that for me, I would have to attach differently than somebody else would be able to attach envy directly to jealousy. And they have this brilliant, honest moment of being jealous in the script. And then they could then activate that element. They activate that element. The element works in them. Then they can learn the acting technique to put their attention and focus on the other person or on the circumstance, and then dive into that. And then they'd have this pure reaction, which the directors would love. I mean, even if the directors, I don't know, are all fundamentalists, but the thing is that, or linear people, I mean, they would still love that moment because that moment would be something that would be authentically there, right? And this is the weird thing about the whole thing with creating. You definitely have these abilities that you can work with, that you can construct. And this example is a good example of doing this. So look, so far, we haven't had anyone join us today, but that's fine. I get it. I'm still working on this, and I've been behind on stuff, although I've been working. And please let me know, what I can change, what I can do, how I can format stuff, get people in talking about acting, working on that. Now, I have got some stuff. I don't know if it's going to make changes to this or not. I personally haven't really reached out to anybody. I have really just literally gone out and said, I'm just going to put myself out there and see what might come or not come. I don't know. So we'll just see. I might do that for a while still, especially as I'm learning to be able to format stuff, figure things out. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over Oh, well, I have a couple things actually. I have to remind myself there's a lot of great things to work at. Um, now, I will do this in a little bit. There's some comments that are very important. Now, I have, well, let's do this. Let's go ahead. I want to plan to do this. Let's do this. This might take about 8 to 10 minutes. The topic I want to go over is I want to go over emotional preparation, right? So we just talked about constructing emotions. Constructing emotions and the ability to gain the, let's see. One second here. Instructions. So the ability here of being able to construct is the being side of the work. It's actually a little bit before the being side of the work. It's really the intellectual side of the work, where you're studying yourself well enough to be able to know what's going to actually activate you and what's not. What's going to be, what do you need to add to your activations to be able to keep an activated component? So you know for sure, you know absolutely that when you go and you work, that you're going to be able to activate that thing, the thing's going to come out, you're going to be able to go into the imaginary circumstance or the imaginary world. It's key, absolutely key. So from that, we want to be able to look at and do this example of instructions on how to do emotional preparation, right? So we are typically, we do the construction work kind of set aside, right? We do the construction of emotions, setting it aside. Then we look at the actual activation. So that the time of the being side of the work is the activation of that emotion. So you're activating that emotion. From that activation, your purpose there is to wake up that element. Now, if you've done the constructing of emotion and you know that you've got more than one thing that you have to activate, that all of the things that you have chosen and know yourself that you have to activate, that's the time to activate it. In the being side of the work. In the being side of the work. So this is really step one, right? You could consider, it depends on what type of preparation you're doing, and that's why there's several types of preparations, but you're on the basic level. You're activating an emotion is step one. Now you get the activated emotion, it sparks off in you, something starts to happen in you. It's a spigot, and you know you've started it, and it's something that you've intentionally done. It's an intentional activation. Now, this is key. You want to get through into the imaginary circumstance. So you put your focus on something that's on the other side of the imaginary world. So you're right now not in the imaginary world. You go into the imaginary world. You put your focus on something that's in the imaginary world, in the imaginary circumstance. Then you put your attention on whoever you're working with, and you work to receive them. Now, these are the steps of emotional preparation. These are the steps that you can do to consistently achieve acting. Consistently. And this is the reason why I mentioned some of the stuff earlier. Why would I mention the stuff about the industry? Because one, I know that it's true. I know I've lived it. I've lived a lot of stuff. And that the reality is that you can't control all the politics. You don't want to get into that. You don't want to start to participate in all of that. You don't need to add that neurosis to you as an actor, unless that's the kind of actor you want to become. You can be, very pure and you can keep some of your innocence and do acting, but it's easier if you just simply focus on your technique. So what you want to do is you want to be capable of getting the ability. And by the way, if somebody's coming and going, I'm not paying attention. Sorry. If you want to leave a comment, go ahead. If people have come and gone, sometimes I can't notice all that and do this. But the thing is that you want to notice something that's inside of the imaginary circumstance. You want to be able to receive that and receive your partner. And you want to make this so it's habitual. It's a true story. Sometimes I'll sit brainstorming, making notes. I do this a lot. Working on finding imaginary ingredients, imaginary circumstance ingredients for my acting. Now, a lot of people would say, well, that's like a waste of time, but it's not. Because when I work with imagination in an imaginary circumstance, I can include those ingredients in my imaginary circumstance. And it will help activate me. It will help keep me active and keep me alive and awake within the imaginary circumstance. And so what that will do is it will create the imaginary circumstance to be more real. So I have more of an experience. So this is why and how to be able to achieve some of this stuff. It's very, very, very vital. All right, so I have a couple questions here. Okay, so is it natural to be nervous in acting? It's a question. Yeah, it's natural. It's very odd. It's a very kind of an odd situation, acting. See, because acting is this. Well, see, acting is this thing that is like actually like it's both natural and unnatural at the same time. And the thing is, this is the thing, you break through that whole element of people watching you, people seeing you, people having opinions about you. And you break through the literal ability that you don't care in the way that you don't care that of other people's judgment. And this is one of the main reasons why you need technique. See, I'm never going to go on a stage. I'm never going to go in front of a camera, even in front of a camera now, without working on, in some way, improving my technique. The only thing that I'm interested in doing is working to improve my technique. To make a connection with people directly. To work on how to make a connection with people, whether they're in front of me or not, or only on another side of a camera. That's me working on my technique. That's the key. See, what happens when you focus like that and focus on something like working on your technique? There's no nerves. You don't have nerves the same way because you're not focused on whether an audience thinks you're good or bad. I'm not focused on whether or not somebody thinks I'm good or bad. Maybe this is just practice. And I'll tell you something. There have been sometimes when in the industry, people really look at something as being a practice take and they end up winning an award. Some of the situations are that they'll end up doing acting and they're just working through a scene to work on one element, another element, and meanwhile it's filmed and they didn't know it was filmed. What I'm working on is improving my acting technique, period. Period. That's it. That's all it is. That's all I work on. So that should help you because it should help to be able to loosen the nerves. What part of your technique are you working on that night? Are you working on the technique of entering the imaginary circumstance? Are you working on the part of the technique that's activating a specific construction of emotions? Are you working on listening to your partner better that week or that night in the play or the piece of work? Are you working on relaxing to be more in tune with the acting so that you can be more transparent? So your work is like, it's like there's this feeling, and I feel it sometimes when I'm working in front of a camera, even like now, where I feel like I exist, but I don't exist. There's this feeling of like this, like, I don't know what to call it. It's like this surrealism that I just feel like, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm just, it's this unawareness, like this comfortability that like, I have no idea. It's like this first person's point of view that I just fall into where I feel like, you know, I'm working with the camera, but I feel like I'm talking to my best friend. Is that part of the technique that you're working on? Is that part of how real you're working to be able and how transparent you're working on being able to have your emotions? Are you relaxing so that those things can actually happen? Now, look, I told you very clearly, it does. I try and be non-gendered, right? I don't care if it's gender, not gender, one person, another person. I get it. There's stuff on both sides of the aisle. None of this stuff's whatever, right? I don't care if people think I'm gay, straight, bi. I don't care. It's whatever. I don't care. It's not the thing about it. And this is the same idea. This is the exact same energy that I have when I go on camera. I want people to enjoy the videos. I want people to know that they can do better in acting. I want people to know that they can use their emotions in ways that they don't need their teacher's permission to be good in acting class. They don't need my permission to be good in acting class. They don't need anyone's permission. They should be able to activate their emotion, go into an imaginary circumstance, and experience something completely new every single time. That's what technique is. Now, I've seen famous people not even picked up even one thing for their acting. And they've come back after another project that they've been given, and they're working on a project and they're having to work very hard just to be able to get their instincts back for acting. I've seen other people look like they've never had to work before. Like they just, their work is just in them. It looks like they've been working the entire time. See, whatever it is, it's just I've seen a lot of it. It's seen a ton of it. I'm interested in making sure that you know that there's these things in you that you relax to be able to give your acting and permission to your acting, so that when you relax, you've got this response. You relax, you've got this response. Yeah, I've had a lot. I mean, it's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. So we are getting further along in the day. I'm going to read this now. This is a comment that I got, and I absolutely appreciate it. I think it's excellent, excellent comment and compliment. And I'm absolutely driven to help people work on their acting, whether it be just by video or however, or by written instruction. Go on the emotional preparation site. And some of these compliments are starting to come in now, and I appreciate them. So this is the comment. It says, "Wow, I appreciate your passion and commitment on this topic. I know exactly what you're describing about emotional activation, because the few times that I was able to do that was when I soared in my acting. But I have not learned how to activate this on purpose. Like it's always been some unknown confluence of ingredients that I can't replicate." What was I talking about today? I was talking about constructing emotion. So I am like you in my quest to put emotion into acting. My quest is to know exactly what to do in order to activate my emotion. I'll be checking out your videos to see if you can explain how to activate an emotion. Thank you. Now, I guarantee if they're checking out my videos, they're going to find pieces of information that they can assemble themselves to be able to get the emotions and put it in their work. Now, I won't tell you famous people know, I don't care, all that nonsense. But I will tell you, I have told very, very significant people in this industry truths about this industry. Truths about how to do acting. And I have seen them using the techniques that I have taught them. And it worked for their acting. So I said, you know what? I've been sick because I was injured. And in that circumstance, and I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna tell the world about how to do every single acting technique that I know. So there's a record that I know it. And two, so that there's no elitism, Hollywood groups or whatever kind of groups, and there's no hatred. I think every single person should know this information. So it's not some hidden back corner thing. And I love Hollywood. Actually, I really like Hollywood, actually, too. So the thing is it's important to me. It's vital. This is key. It's absolutely key. We want to be able to find our own emotion, not somebody else's, and put it into our work. I don't know when the book is going to come out that I'm writing. But I know this, it will come out. And I have written a lot. And I'm trying to make it very, very, very simple. And it should help people to have the elitist information about emotion and about structure and about how to access themselves completely out there. So every single person should have it. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm committed to do. So this comment, I appreciate their comment. I look forward to working with them, whether it's just them looking at my research, studying along with the videos, whether they come on the stream. It's not something that I'm not trying to say, oh, well, I'm the only one. No. Many, many people I have seen, thousands and thousands of acting students train in acting. I'm not joking around. I have seen at least 30 to 40,000 acting exercises. I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stars training in acting technique, many of which, by the way, were failing. Some of them weren't, and some of them just thought they were too good to put technique into their work. I've seen every single aspect of it, a lot of aspects of it. I mean, there might be something that I haven't seen, but I don't see how it's possible. Maybe there is some stuff I haven't seen, but the reality is, I mean, 35 different, I mean, it's closer to 70 different teachers I've seen teaching Meisner work. If there's something I don't know, it's not because I haven't worked hard to find out. And I'm only continuing now to continue to put my information out and to tell people that instead of going and inviting me out for lunch and asking me 80 acting questions so that they can get their technique better and go off and do films, I'm saying, no, every single person should have access to this information. If people think it's valuable, they think it's valuable. If they don't, they don't. That's up to them. Use the emotions list that I have on the list on the website. Work with finding an emotion. Activate that emotion so you know that you feel it. It's pouring in some way. It's activated inside you. Then practice putting your attention off of yourself onto the imaginary world, into the imaginary circumstance, onto your acting partner, into a monologue, and go through that monologue with that emotion. That emotion will carry through in some way so that the monologue that you're reading or going through the material of has different nuances, different meanings. These are key. This is exactly key. This is how you're able to do the work. I can't tell you how many times. Sometimes I'd be watching the other students or other teachers teach, and I would see people not even emotionally prepared. Now, if I was teaching that specific class, I would have either offered them the door to get out of the classroom because they don't want to work, or I would absolutely have helped them, and most likely I would have just helped them. to work to be able to put emotion in their work. Putting emotion in your work is the number one item of agenda in every single acting endeavor. It is the only thing that puts you in your work authentically. It literally isolates a piece of yourself. It gets activated. And then you literally carry that piece of your isolated activation self and you put it in the imaginary circumstance. And then all of a sudden, you start learning new things about yourself. You have a new experience. You don't know how you're going to respond. You're responding off of your internal stimulus, and the other person's there, and it's going back and forth, and it's beautiful. You don't have control of the circumstance. You don't try and have control of the circumstance. You have the freedom of living the experience. So I challenge every single one of you to do work like that. To work, to be able to work in a way that includes emotions. To contact me via comment, via live feed, however, and to work with me to be able to help yourself find emotion. Now, I'm a powerhouse at trying to work through stuff. When I get onto something, I suggest signing up as a subscribing thing or whatever you call it. I would turn the notification off. Sometimes I might have 2 or 3 videos a day. It depends on what I'm working on. I'm getting over this cold, and I'm going to keep going straight through. There's so much information over 20 years of my studying that I'm starting to put on video. And it will be published in the books too. It's to be included in every other idea that's out there on acting. I'm not coming out and saying that I'm the only one that knows anything about it. That's not what I've said in any way. I'm not coming out and saying that you have to have some fear that you're inauthentic. That's not what this is. The reality of working this way is to be able to find the freedom of your imagination, the freedom of your doing. The doing is the interaction. You work so that you're interacting. You work so that you're actually participating. You're working in a way that you're actually experiencing self-discovery. Okay? So feel free. Join me with all of this. Share this with your friends if you would, if you feel like it. And we'll see you next time. I really am into acting, and I know you are too. And the most important thing in acting is emotion. You've got to be willing and capable, and you got to know some of these tricks. These tricks of being able to activate your emotion. You activate your emotion in the being side of the work, and then you catapult yourself and dive into the doing side of the work, the interaction. And this element called emotional preparation is key. Hi, my acting training is incredibly extensive. These are some of my notes. This is not all of them. By far, it's not all. And I really like acting. I really like the hardest component of acting is the emotion. And so that's why I run and operate emotional preparation. And there's information on that website that you can join me on my live feed, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesdays and Fridays. I hope to see you there. If you find the information on my website, you can actually join the live feed. I can send you a link and you can actually come on and talk to me face to face. and you can actually, we'll do emotional preparations together. So we can actually work to be able to access your emotions and help you be able to put emotions into your acting work.